Earlier in the month of May, the special advisor to the UN, Jeffrey Sachs, recommended that Nigeria adopt a 3-child per family policy. UN data recognizes that between the current child average for Nigeria is 4 to 5, so that would be a reduction of about 1 to 2. Do you think that they'll actually go through with that? I mean, it is just a suggestion, and if so, what the effects will be for Nigeria?
Well, I think 2 years ago, the UN Population Fund and the State Family Planning Council of China invited the health ministers and other high officials of every sub-Saharan Africa to Beijing for about a week. They gave them world-class hotel accommodations and fed them the line that if you want economic growth, get rid of the children. Follow China's lead. And as our eminent demographers and scientists would tell you, it is a matter of when and not if, given the aging of the Chinese population that will begin in earnest in the very near future, that the economic miracle of China will quickly dissipate and become a nightmare. But they're selling that to and I do chair the Global Human Rights Committee, which is also the Africa and Global Health Committee. We've held hearings on the influence of the Chinese form of governance and its dictatorship on several African countries. And now we see that they're also exporting the 1 child per couple mantra, which in Nigeria's case or Rwanda's case, they're saying, well, maybe 2 or 3. The impact will be disastrous. If women decide they don't want to have children, that's their prerogative. But government stepping in and using the coercive power of the state through either incentivizing no children by putting penalties on, as China does. It always starts being called voluntary, as did China's, and very quickly matriculates into coercion because women in the end, and men, will want to build families. And then the government tells you how many. And it all goes back, if you go back and read, Margaret Sanger wrote a number of books, and I've read most of them. One of them was called Child Limitation, in which he argues for 1 or 2 child per couple. Ted Turner recently said at a global climate change summit in Cancun, we need a world of 1 child per couple policies, just like China's. Perhaps not forgetting, that coercion is the only means to that end. And there was one book written by Margaret Sanger called The Pivot of Civilization. And in chapter 5, the chapter title is called The Cruelty of Charity. And she argues that it is cruel to help and to assist an indigent woman have a child because you get more of those useless breeders. It is eugenist and racist to the core, and yet that's the mindset being exported by China to Nigeria. Now, UNFPA now has at its helm a Nigerian. So you can be sure that very anti-human rights policy of China will find additional favor because the UNFPA has enabled it right from the beginning, and now they're targeting Africa.